Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's session, we are going to discuss about a pattern program. So what exactly the pattern program and what exactly the prerequisite you need to understand before we start with this series. So there are three different types of pattern programs we have. The first one is star pattern, second is the number pattern, and the third is the character pattern. So what exactly the star, number and character pattern? We will discuss that one by one in our upcoming session. In today's session, we are going to discuss with the star pattern. So basically when you think about the pattern program, the main important part is to understand what exactly the logic we need to implement to print that particular pattern. So this is the most important interview question for the Java. This question, it is easy to understand your coding skill, your logic, and your Java concept from this problem statement. So before we start, you should have a clear knowledge about the looping. So we already covered a lot of the questions and the coding problem at the basic levels of the looping and what exactly the different types of loop. So for loop, while loop, do while loop, everything we already covered in our previous session. If you don't have idea about the looping, I will definitely suggest you to go to the previous videos and understand what exactly the looping and how exactly it will work. So this is the basic prerequisite before you start with the pattern programming. Okay. So let's start with the today's video. So today we are going to discuss about the star pattern. The first program is we are going to discuss about is the right triangle star pattern. So for that I will create a new package here and under this package I will write each and every pattern program. Okay, so for that let me create a new package. New package pattern program. Under this I will create my first class, that is right triangle star. Okay. So how exactly the right triangle star pattern will looks like? Let me show you. Let me create here first. Okay. So you can see this is my right triangle star pattern. So this is the triangle pattern. Here if you see there are 4 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4 and there are 4 columns as well. So the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. And when you see it starts with the first star, then it gradually increases with the 2, then 3, then 4. So every time the star increases by 1 and its count is equal to the column number, right? So here when you are starting any pattern program, first understand what exactly the pattern you need to bring. Then try to understand what kind of logic you need to implement for this pattern program. So for that, many times you need to use a 2 loops or the 3 loops, depends on what kind of pattern you are printing. So for this loop, when I'm seeing into this loop, I know that I need to use a 2 loops because we need to print a rows and the column. And here the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. Suppose if I provided the number as the 5, then in that case, I'm expecting a 5 rows and 5 column right triangle star pattern. So that's we expected. How to write this program? Let's see that. And here I'm asked to write the program public void right star triangle pattern. Okay. I'm giving the right star name as my method. Here I'm asking user to provide me the value On the basis of that value, we will decide there will be how many rows and the how many columns. So here the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. Okay, so that will be denoted by the value n. Then I will write the for loop. This is my outer for loop which will define the number of rows. Okay, for that I'm writing int I is equal to 0. My I should be less than whatever the number of value the user is providing, the rows value and the column values, that is n, and I plus plus. This is my outer loop will denotes to the rows. Then inside this for loop, I'm creating one more for loop and using the variable j. So int j is equal to 0. My j value should be less than or equal to I, because the number of rows is equal to the number of columns. That's why we are giving the condition as j is equal to and less than or equal to I. Okay, and I'm incrementing the j value, and this loop is for the columns. So inside this for loop, I'm printing my value. What exactly the value we want to print is the star, right? But here I'm removing the ln, because if you see by this star, this star, this star, the each row, if we consider, that comes in the same line, not in the different rows, right? So there are some pattern which come in the same line. So that's why I'm removing the ln from this sentence, and below that I'm giving the blank println statement. Why? Because the each pattern will print it at the new line. So once this for loop gets completed, it will create a new line and prints the pattern. Again create the new line and print the pattern. Again create the new line and print the pattern, right? So that's why I'm giving one blank println just to create a new line. I'm not providing any value there. Okay. So let's create a main method to execute this program. I'm creating a new class name as the main method class, and I'm creating the main method here. Okay. The first thing we need to do is to create the object for this class, right triangle star pattern. So let me create the object right triangle star pattern. O is equal to new, the class name, and O dot our method name, that is the right star. And we need to provide the n value. So firstly, I will create for this 4 rows and 4 column, and then we will try for the 5 rows and 5 column as well, and let's see how exactly it's behaving. So let's run this program. You can see it's printing the same pattern that we are expecting, right? The 4 rows, 4 column, and the right triangle pattern. What if I give the 5 rows and 5 columns? So I'm providing the value here as the 5, and let's try this one. It's working fine, right? So it is giving us 5 rows and 5 columns. So what exactly the logic we have implemented here? So the first thing, the first outer loop is for the rows and inner loop is for the column. We are providing the n value which will decide how many rows and columns are present in the particular pattern. The number of rows and the number of columns here is the same. Okay, so this is the base. According to on that base, we are creating the logic. So okay, how exactly it's executing? Let me show you. The first thing, I value first set it as a 0, right? Then my 0 value is a less than n. So n value, what exactly the my n value? Let me write my I value is equal to 0, and now my n value is supposed to be here the 5, right? Then it's satisfying the condition. So it will go inside the loop. In the loop, first, the j value is the 0. And my j is less than or equal to I. Yes. The first condition, I value is the 0. So it will satisfy at one time, right? So it will print one star here. Then j value gets incremented and it becomes 1. Now 1 is less than 0. No, the condition is not satisfied. So it will come out of this loop, and now this it will go to the new line, right? Then the next thing, my I value incremented by 1, that is I is equal to 1, n is equal to 5. Now I will go inside the loop. Now my j value is equal to 0, right? j is less than I, that's correct. It will print 1 star. Then j value incremented and it becomes 1. 1 is less than or equal to 1. Yes, that's correct. So that's why it will print 1 more star, right? And now j value becomes 2. But 2 is less than 1 or equal to 1. No, that's not satisfying. So it will come out of the loop, right? So it will go to the third line. And the same logic it's implemented here as well. So it will print the 3 patterns. So it will again increment the I, then it will go inside the J. So the same logic, it's goes on, this loop will execute it the 5 times, right? Because our n is equal to 5. And once it comes out of the loop, we are printing the whatever is coming in the new line. So that's the logic we are implementing here. It is a very simple and basic program in the pattern. So there are more advanced program as well where we need to use a 3 for loops and the logic will be slightly complicated than this one. So this is the base level program and the simple program. The first, when you are writing the pattern program, the first understand the pattern, then decide how many rows and columns are present, and at how the pattern is executing, that's very important. According to the pattern, you need to decide your logic. So first thing, whenever you get the pattern, understand the pattern, find out how many number of rows and columns in there. For each row, how the pattern is gets executed, which pattern is this, star pattern, then number pattern or character pattern, that's very important. First, understand the pattern, then implement the logic on that. What exactly, how many loops you are going to execute. Find out the formula for your pattern and then starts the coding. This pattern programming is a very important and it is mostly asked interview question. To understand your programming skill, your logical skill, there are many pattern programs coming in the upcoming session. I will discuss about that. This is the first session of the pattern programming. In the upcoming session, we are going to discuss about some more pattern programming for the star, then character and the number as well. So that's it for the today, guys. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. If you have any question, please put down that in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video and have a nice day.